Hello everyone, welcome to Options with Doug, streaming live on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Before I get started, I need to go through the disclosures. General disclosure, all Bookmap Ltd materials, information, and presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be considered specific investment advice nor recommendations. Risk disclosure, trading futures, equities, and options involves substantial risk of loss. It is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Here's my contact information. The best way to get in touch with me is through Discord. My name on Discord is Doug P. Also in Bookmap Discord, there's an Options-Doug chat channel. That's a great place to post questions, comments, and content related to the topics of my presentation and the topics of the channel that I'll go through in just a moment. I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. My name there is @Pless. Here are the key tenets to my approach for trading. This is the basis of my approach to trading. I believe that options trades and market maker hedging activity are key drivers of price in many stocks and futures, and certainly in the large cap tech stocks like the Mag 7 stocks that I follow, as well as the equity index futures like the S&P 500 and NASDAQ 100. And for the S&P 500, SPX is the underlying index, SPY is the ETF version of that index, and ES, the futures contract, is a derivative of SPX. And when traders buy and sell puts and calls in SPX and SPY, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and hedge their delta exposure with ES futures. And for the NASDAQ 100, NDX is the underlying index. QQQ is the much more liquid ETF version of that index. And NQ, the futures contract, is a derivative of NDX. And just like the S&P 500, when traders buy and sell puts and calls in NDX and QQQ, market makers take the opposite side of those trades and hedge their delta exposure with NQ futures. The focus of my presentation today and the focus of the Options-Doug chat channel is options order flow, the impact of options markets on stocks and futures, and the influence of market maker hedging flow on price action. I have a two-step process for trading, and the first is planning, and I use positional analysis. I look at how traders and market makers are positioned in the options market and how those positions change from day to day to develop a thesis regarding the expected trading range and volatility for the day, as well as the directional bias. And the second step in my process is execution. I look at real-time order flow in Bookmap and real-time market maker hedging flow in Spotgamma Hero to confirm my thesis and for setups for entries and exits. And when I talk about setups today, I will be focusing on an underlying asset. Setups in that asset can be taken with futures, options, or shares of stock, depending on the asset that I'm talking about. Questions and comments are welcome, and I will be watching both the Options-Doug chat channel and Discord, as well as the chat and YouTube for your questions or comments. Please feel free to post. I'll do my best to answer your questions. Here's my agenda for today, Monday, June 3rd. First of all, I want to go over news items, economic data, and events for today as well as the rest of the week. Then I'll go through my positional analysis. Then I'll review some setups from earlier today. And then I'll talk about the live market. And when I get to the live market, if anyone has any stocks they want me to take a look at, please let me know and I'll be glad to do that. All right, let's start with news items, economic data, and events. Not sure what that was. All right, so just a few economic releases this week. All right, today the ISM Manufacturing PMI data came out at 10 a.m. And then on Wednesday, ISM Services PMI comes out at 10 a.m. And then the big data release for the week is the jobs report, first Friday of the month. That is on Friday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And there's also one earnings report that I want to point out. That is CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike reports earnings after the market closes tomorrow. The expected move is 9.37%. All right, so those are the events that I'll be following this week. All right, let's move on to positional analysis now. I'm going to start with the SP 500. And this is the ES Futures and Bookmap. Before I take a closer look at this chart, I want to take a look at a higher time frame. I'm going to go to the SPX, that's the underlying index. We've all seen this chart before. I'll go through this quickly. 5-month rally began last year, October 30th. Correction began this year, April 1st. And then SPX reversed higher, end of correction, after the April expiration, the April 19th monthly expiration shown with the red dashed vertical line there. And there's been some consolidation as concern over interest rates has increased. All right, so that is a one-day chart. That's in Thinkorswim. Again, a one-day chart for SPX. Just giving some context. All right, let's take a look at a 1 hour chart now. This is a 30-day 1 hour chart. Here's where the rally resumed the Monday after April expiration. High for SPX, right around 53.42. Market participants began to be concerned about interest rates. SPX moved back down to 5,200. And now looks like trying to move back up. All right, let's take a look at the levels on this chart. First of all, the dashed purple lines are showing the lower and upper weekly expected move. This is based on the options market, what the options market expects for the week. This is based on the closing price for SPX from last Friday. These levels remain in place for the entire week. The dashed blue lines are showing the lower and upper daily expected move, also based on the options market, based on the closing price for SPX from last Friday. Note that SPX did trade below that level, the lower daily expected move, earlier today. Those levels are updated every day. I do post these in the Options-Jug chat channel on Discord. All right, so those are the expected moves. Let's take a look at the Spotgamma levels on this chart. These are proprietary to Spotgamma. They're provided to Spotgamma subscribers on a variety of trading platforms. This is Thinkorswim, again, a one-day chart. I'm going to point out the key daily levels. First of all, 5,000. That is the absolute gamma strike. That's the strike with the largest absolute positive and negative gamma. And note that level did shift substantially lower from Friday, from 5,300 down to 5,000. So now the absolute gamma strike is at 5,000. The next level up is the put wall at 5,200. That's the strike with the largest negative gamma that can be expected to act as resistance. Above that is the volatility trigger at 5,260. That is Spotgamma's proprietary volatility flip level. Below that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is negative. In a negative gamma environment, market makers have to trade with price to hedge their delta exposure, and that tends to enhance or increase volatility. And we'll take a look at the reaction around the SPY and SPX volatility triggers in just a minute. Above that level, market makers' position on the gamma curve is positive. In a positive gamma environment, market makers have to trade against price to hedge their delta exposure. That tends to subdue or decrease volatility. And just want to point out this 5,300 level. That was noted as resistance on the Spotgamma AM Founders Note. Did its job very well today and was a great entry point for a short. And then finally, the call wall is at 5,400. That's a strike for the largest net positive gamma. That can be expected to act as resistance. All right, so the only key daily level for SPX that shifted was the absolute gamma strike that shifted lower down to 5,000. All right, let's wrap up our view of SPX with a 1-minute chart. This is showing about 2 days worth of data. And this is the massive rally that began on Friday. Big move up on Friday. Traders were aggressively buying calls into the close. Today, SPX gapped up, and as I mentioned before, found pretty stiff resistance at the 5,300 level. Again, that was noted as resistance in the Spotgamma AM Founders Note. And SPX did break below the 5260 volatility trigger, also below the lower daily expected move. And note the acceleration of price below the 5260 volatility trigger as SPX shifted into negative gamma. All right, so those are the levels in play for today for the SPX. Let's take a look at Bookmap now. And on Bookmap, I have my own cloud notes, so I can show SPX levels. And you can't see it. You can't see the label there because the lower daily expected move for ES is right on top of it. But that line right there, that is the 5260 volatility trigger. And there's that acceleration of price below that level. Note also I have SPY levels on this chart. There's the SPY 526 volatility trigger. That level did move up 1 point from Friday. There was some consolidation at that level before price broke lower and accelerated through the SPX 5260 volatility trigger. Note also this is the SPX 5300 level acting as resistance and a good entry point for a short. I'll go over setups in just a few minutes. So right now it looks like the SPY 523 level as well as the ES 5250 level acted as support. All right, so again, I have my own cloud notes so I can show SPX levels, SPY levels, and key ES levels on this chart. And note there is a difference in price between ES and SPX. And today it's right around 13. So I'm showing here this 5250 level, SPX 5250 at ES 5263. And note I do post those index relationships that I'm using in Discord every day. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ. NASDAQ, similar chart. This is the NQ futures and Bookmap. Before I take a closer look at this chart, I do want to take a look at the underlying index charts. I'm going to go to QQQ. This is a 1-day chart, a 1-minute chart for QQQ. Looks like QQQ found resistance right around the 455 level. That's a large gamma 4 level. This 453.07, that's a combo 2 level combining QQQ and NDX. Gamma weighted open interest into 1 level. Did act as support earlier, then price broke below that. Consolidation around the 452 volatility trigger, and then price broke lower. Very similar to the price action for SPY consolidation around the volatility trigger, and then a move lower, acceleration lower. In this case for QQQ down to 448. That's just a round number level. Let's take a look at NDX. And let's zoom in on just today. So same as SPX, NDX gapped up. This is the call wall, 18,600. Did act as support earlier. Price broke below that. More consolidation around the 18,560 volatility trigger. Price broke below and then found support at the 18,400. That's a large gamma 4 level. That is below the 450 put wall. All right, so plenty of gamma levels in play for NDX today. All right, so just like the S&P 500 for NQ futures, I have my own cloud notes, so I can show QQQ levels. There's that large gamma 4 level, 455, that was noted as resistance in the Spotgamma AM Founders note. So that level, as well as the NQ 750 level, acted as resistance. And then this cluster of levels here, that is the 18,400 level for NDX, also the 450 level for NQ, as well as the lower daily expected to move. Also looks like it is that QQQ 458 level that I mentioned before. So a lot of overlapping levels there acting as support. And again, we'll take a look at setups in just a moment. All right, let's wrap up our positional analysis. Just to mention for the NASDAQ, both the volatility trigger and put walls for both NDX and QQQ move lower, and that's somewhat bearish. Both those levels, again, move lower for NDX and QQQ. All right, let's wrap up our positional analysis by taking a look at gamma notional. This is market maker's position on the gamma curve at the beginning of the day. For the S&P 500 and NASDAQ, note all these numbers did move higher from Friday, given that big rally on in the afternoon on Friday. Gamma notional for SPX shifted to positive, pretty much neutral for SPY and neutral for QQQ. But the put Vanna has definitely been in play today, especially with a break below the volatility triggers. All right, so based on this, I was looking for moderate volatility, and based on the shifts in levels, I was neutral for the S&P 500 and somewhat bearish for the NASDAQ. All right, let's move on to execution now. So everything that we've looked at so far, other than Bookmap, is based on static data. Now let's move on to real-time data, move on to setups. I'm going to start with the S&P 500. And everything, as always, I want to start by taking a look at what options traders have been doing today. So this is the hero chart in Bookmap. In Spotgamma. This is the Spotgamma hero chart. This is available to Spotgamma subscribers. This chart is showing options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. And this is the signal that has been around for quite some time for the S&P 500. So again, this is showing Options trades market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of SPX, SPY, XSP, and ES futures. There are two lines on this chart. The white line is showing price for SPX. The purple line is the hero signal. A falling purple line indicates traders are taking negative delta options positions. They are buying puts and or selling calls. And a rising purple line indicates they are taking positive delta options positions. They are buying calls and or selling puts. All right, so this is the signal that has been around for quite some time for the SP 500. There's a new signal. This is the S&P equity signal. And this is a combined signal for all 500 components, all 500 underlyings in the SP 500. So it's showing options trades and market maker hedging activity, again, for all 500 stocks in the SP 500. Sometimes this signal provides a lot of clarity. Sometimes it does not. And one thing that I typically do is I will check and see what's driving this signal. And the first suspect is NVIDIA. So this is the hero signal for NVIDIA. It shows traders taking positive delta positions in NVIDIA. And this stock alone can often drive this signal, the SP equities, which may not provide a good signal for the SP 500, and that's the case today. This original signal, the SP 500 combined signal, SPX, SPY, ES futures, is providing a much more clear signal, much more correlation with price action for the SP 500 today. So another way to check that is go to this heat map. A lot of trading platforms have this heat map, so you can see that it looks like NVIDIA certainly having a strong influence on price action, or at least options trades for the SP 500. Apple and Meta also to some extent. All right, so that is a test that I use to determine which S&P 500 signal to look at. And in this case today, this original signal I think is providing more clarity. So let's zoom in on this chart now. So what this chart is showing is the hero signal was pretty flat for about the first 10 minutes. Sharp bump, then started to slowly move lower. Note the flow alert that comes in just after 9:50. These flow alerts often can act as mean reverting signals, and it was definitely a mean reverting signal in this case, indicating the hedging flow shifted from positive to negative. Good entry point for a short, right around 9:50 there. Or if you waited on the 10 a.m. data release, another pop up to that 5,300 level. And then the hero signal move lower. All right, let's go take a look at Bookmap. Let's go back to the SP 500. Let's zoom in. We'll go to about 12. All right, let's take a look at the order flow in Bookmap. So the first entry for a short, if you wanted to go ahead and get in before the data release, right here, the volume dots in Bookmap are showing market buy minus sell. Green dots indicate more buyers than sellers. Magenta dots indicate more sellers than buyers. So you can see the aggressive sellers coming in just after 9:45. Quick pop up to the data. right around 5,300. Price quickly reverses lower, right around 1030. Breaks below VWAP. Again, aggressive sellers coming in. Price breaks lower. Consolidation around the SPY 526 volatility trigger. Aggressive sellers start to come in as price breaks below that level. Scroll over. Again, aggressive sellers come in. Price breaks below the SPY volatility trigger and then slices right through the lower daily expected move and the SPX volatility trigger as the selling accelerates. All right, let's take a quick look at order flow and Bookmap other than the volume dots. Take a look at the subchart. The lines in the subchart. First of all, the dark blue line that turns to magenta. That is cumulative volume delta. That's been falling. The yellow line is showing stop orders. And as price was falling, sell stop orders were fueling the move lower. Also shown by these small red dots. Sell stop orders fueling the move lower. And then note right here, also initially large traders were selling with iceberg orders. That's shown by the falling light blue line. And then right around noon, large traders started to come in and buy with iceberg orders. Looks like some mechanical buying there, a series of very small iceberg orders. And that's a good signal to look for a potential reversal. When large traders start to come in and they were fading that move lower and price started to move higher. All right, let's go back to Hero. And we can see, let's go back to Bookmap. So reversal really got going right around 115. Let's go back to Hero. And that's when the Hero signal shifted up. Now it looks like it's shifting back down. All right, let's take a look at NASDAQ now. So I'm going to go through the same test. There are two signals for NASDAQ. Let me zoom out so I can show you what this is. First, this is the original signal, just showing combined options trades and market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of NDX and QQQ, showing very strong correlation between price today and options trades and hedging activity in those two instruments. Also, the Mag 7 signal. We'll take a look at that. That's a combined signal for the stocks known as the Magnificent Seven. So it's showing options trades, market maker hedging activity for a combined signal of Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, NVIDIA, and Tesla. And NVIDIA definitely driving that signal today. So we're going to stick with the NASDAQ signal for NASDAQ. All right, so is everybody clear on what I'm doing? They're determining which hero signal I want to take a look at by taking a look at NVIDIA and seeing how it's driving both the S&P equity signal as well as the Mag 7 signal, and also looking at the correlation between the hero signal and price. So let me know if you're not clear on that or if you have any questions about that. All right, WRB, yes, loud and clear, great. All right, glad that makes sense. All right, so this is the NASDAQ signal. In this case, if we zoom in, we can see a nice divergent short setup. Hero signal slightly falling, price rising, and then reverses lower as the hero signal starts to move sharply lower. That's right around 945. All right, let's go take a look at NQ now. Zoom in. All right, here's that reversal right around 945. Aggressive buyers on the way up, aggressive sellers on the way down. 10 a.m. data release, reversal just below the 455 level, and then another entry point for a short right around the 700 level, as well as the upper daily expected move. All right, so a short setup in the NASDAQ today. And in the case of the indexes, the original signals, the S&P 500 and NASDAQ signal for Hero, both providing more clarity today. All right, I've got stock setups to take a look at. At this point, I want to go through several of these, and then let me know what you want to see. If you want to see more live market or more setups from earlier today, I'm open to your suggestions. So while I wait for any feedback from that, let's take a look. Start taking a look at some stocks. All right, so I'll get to AMD in just a moment. That's the next one on my list, WRB. All right, so here's Apple, very strong in the morning. You can see all the green volume dots. A lot of aggressive buyers, rising cumulative volume delta. Let's see what options traders are doing. All right, for stocks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift over and take a look at puts and calls separately. Starting with Apple. All right, so the rising orange line shows that traders were buying calls. When traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls, and they have to buy stock to hedge their delta exposure. So in the morning, call buyers were definitely driving price. You can see the flow alert that comes in just after the open, signaling significant options activity. And note how price consolidates and drops lower as the call buyers take their foot off the gas. So it looks like now they're starting to buy calls again. Very, very typical pattern. Aggressive call buyers in the morning take their foot off the gas mid-morning and price consolidates or moves lower. All right, let's go back to Bookmap. So that was Apple. Here's AMD. Great short setup in AMD today. Just looking at the volume dots, you can see aggressive buyers just a few minutes after the open. Move price up to the 170 call wall that does its job, act as resistance. Aggressive sellers come in, price breaks below VWAP, that's a light blue line. You can see all the magenta volume dots. And price continues lower, down to and below the 162.50 hedge wall, all the way down to 161. Liquidity there, resting limit buy orders. Note cumulative volume delta falling. Great entry points, pullback entry points, highlighted by this market pulse. That's the market pulse price change algorithm, marking nice entry points for shorts. So every good entry point, I think, is noted by this market pulse price change indicator, but not every extreme on the price change indicator is a good pullback. Hope that makes sense. So you have to watch the chart as well as this market pulse price change. All right, so great short there in AMD. And all these setups that I've shown so far, multiple ways to play these. With the futures, you can just sell, you could have sold contracts or buy SPX puts, SPY puts, or buy SPX, SPY put spreads, or sell call spreads. And for the case of AMD, buy a put spread. All right, so that's AMD. Let's see what options traders are doing in AMD. In this case, call sellers. We're moving price lower. Flow alert that comes in just after the cash open. AMD breaks below the call wall as traders continue to sell calls. Note that 160 is the key gamma strike and put wall. Price did not quite make it down to that level. And looks like price is consolidating now as the call sellers have finally taken their foot off the gas right around 1245. All right, Wayne asks, would you give the properties of the indicator in the lower panel, and is it the same when you watch futures? All right, so let's go back to Bookmap. All right, so for stocks, I'm using two indicators in the subchart. I have cumulative volume delta. I have that on both futures and stocks. And for stocks, I'm using this market pulse price change indicator. There are a number of algorithms that you can use. I like this price change indicator, but here are all the different algorithms that are available. So again, I'm using price change. I've tried the volume pressure imbalance. I haven't tried some of these others, but price change I like really well. So that's what I'm using. And I'm using the default settings other than I did change the colors. Otherwise, again, I'm using defaults. So that's what I have on stock charts for all the stocks that I have here in Bookmap. All right, for futures, I already have stops, icebergs, and cumulative volume delta, just like stocks. So I think this subchart would just be too cluttered with the market pulse price change indicator. Just too much information, too much clutter. So I just keep the stops and icebergs indicator on futures and the market pulse price change indicator on stocks, and then cumulative volume delta on all. All right, what you mean Thursday? Good afternoon, welcome, glad you're here. Ask, in the case of a smaller account, if I don't want to use a day trade and do not want to lose my profit on SPX puts to lock in the profit, could I buy a call for the same expiration? One thing that I would do is consider turning it into a butterfly. So if price moves lower, and you can also turn that into a put spread. So if you buy a put, you could sell a put, convert that into a put spread, And what you're looking to do is get risk out. Another way is to turn it into a butterfly or a condor. So you could sell 2 puts and buy a put, turn it into a risk-free butterfly. All right, so I'll see if I can find an example of something that I've done like that. All right, let's move on. The next one is Coinbase. All right, Coinbase, another great short setup. Let's see what options traders are doing. Go to coin. Zoom in a bit. All right, so call sellers, aggressive call buyers for about the first 15 minutes. Whoops. Aggressive call buyers take price above the 235 key gamma strike call wall. They start selling calls right around 9:45. Price moves lower, breaks down below the call wall, and price continues lower. All right, let's go back to Bookmap. Very sharp reversal in Coinbase. Let's zoom in a little bit. And I do have one other indicator on this chart because of the strong correlation between Bitcoin and Coinbase. So what this chart is showing, this is the correlation tracker in Bookmap. You can set this up any way you want. I'm showing the correlation between Coinbase and Bitcoin futures. So you could use spot Bitcoin if you are connected to any of the crypto exchanges. I'm connected to Rhythmic Data, so I have access to Bitcoin futures. So note the Bitcoin starts to drop lower, and good confirmation of a short there as traders started selling calls. All right, so that's Bitcoin, very volatile stock. All right, the next one, CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike, also very volatile stock. Price breaks below VWAP. Cumulative volume delta falling. Price stays below VWAP. Let's see what options traders are doing. And breaks below the 310 hedge wall. Let's see what options traders are doing. Go to CrowdStrike. Flow alert just after the cash open. Let's zoom in on this. So the falling orange line, of course, indicates traders are selling calls. The falling blue line indicates they're buying puts. Note this vertical blue line here. That's a large block order, large institutional order of again, block order put buying. Typically a large institution buying a lot of puts. Flow alert comes in right as that large transaction takes place. So traders selling calls and buying puts in CrowdStrike. And again, note that CrowdStrike does report earnings after the close tomorrow. All right, so the call sellers finally took the foot off the gas around 12:30, and CrowdStrike is consolidating. Let's go back to Bookmap. So again, I have market pulse and cumulative volume delta in the subchart. All right, the next, Meta. Bullish in the morning. Price breaks above VWAP. That large volume dots, that's the opening print. Here, pull back to VWAP. Cumulative volume delta took a while to get going. Started rising, let's say around 1020, something like that. Let's see what options traders are doing. Go to Meta. Call buyers. Flow alert, traders buy calls, market makers sell the calls, price moves higher. This is a very, very typical pattern for Meta. Call buyers take the foot off the gas, price consolidates and moves lower. That's a good place to buy a put spread or sell a call spread. And then call buyers definitely driving price in Meta today. Back to Bookmap. Microsoft. Bearish and Microsoft. Price breaks below VWAP. Here's a nice pullback entry for short, right at the 415 hedge wall. You can see all the aggressive sellers come in. Price breaks below VWAP. Cumulative volume delta starts falling again. All right, so that's Microsoft. Let's see what options traders are doing. Again, call sellers driving price. Let's zoom in. Maybe a little bit difficult to see there, but there was a flow alert that came in just about 9:35. Traders selling calls from the open. Price breaks lower right around 9:45 as traders continue to sell calls. $12:45, 1 o'clock, traders, call sellers have taken their foot off the gas, and Microsoft trying to recover now. And I'll wrap this up with Tesla. And Wayne and What You Mean Thirsty, you're welcome. All right, wrap it up with Tesla. Note 182.5 call wall acting as resistance. Pretty amazing. Not even a round number acting as resistance like that. That's the call wall doing its job, acting as resistance. Tesla makes a series of lower highs, breaks below VWAP. Market pulse price change indicating good entry points, pullback entry points for short, and price moves down to the 175 hedge wall key gamma strike. Let's see what options traders are doing. Go to Tesla. There's the 182.50 call wall. Reversal right at that level as call sellers start to come in. And then note around 11 Traders continue to sell calls, large block order, institutional block order, buying puts, both the blue line, orange line moving in the same direction. That's a very powerful directional indicator, and price moves lower. All right, I've got about 10 minutes left. Does anyone have any stocks they want me to take a look at? All right, let's take a look at the SP 500. Starting to trying to recover. Looks like finding support at this 52.56 combo 4 level. Price breaking above the lower daily expected move. Also the 52.60 volatility trigger. We'll see what options traders are doing. Let's go back to the total signal. I'm going to have to jump back. All right, in the afternoon, I like to zoom in on the chart to get a little bit more clarity. All right, so the SP 500 really pretty choppy here, trading a narrow range. All right, WRB wants to take a look at Palantir. Okay, we can do that. Try that again. All right, not a lot of movement in Palantir, it looks like. It did find some support right around the 210 or 21 hedge wall key gamma strike. Options traders came in as price reached down to that level, 21 level. Let's see what they were doing. We have to jump. Sorry, jump back. So they started buying calls. As price approached that 21 level. All right, let's check NASDAQ. Check the Mag 7. All right, so the Mag 7 traders are now buying calls, selling puts. All right, a viral, hello, welcome, glad you're here. Asks, what do you think about buying a put spread for Snowflake stock? 135 put sell, buy a 130 call. It has been hammered, but earnings were reasonably good. Also, why has it fallen so much even with good earnings? Now that I can't answer. I can take a look and see what options traders are doing today. All right, so let's do an analysis on Snowflake. So today, not a lot of commitment from options traders. Both lines pretty flat. So let's check. Let's go to Equity Hub. And we'll check Snowflake. So Snowflake trading right around 137. Let's go to Snowflake. Let's take a look at this put call impact chart. Let me zoom in on this. Let me just make sure we're looking at Snowflake. Yep. All right, let me zoom in on this. All right, so this is the put and call impact chart. This is the Spotgamma equity hub. One thing that I like to look at for a support level, this is something that Brett, the founder of Spotgamma, has talked about quite a bit. Looking at this put call impact chart, these lines on the chart, the curves, are showing the rate of change of gamma. The orange line is showing the rate of change of call gamma, and the blue curve is showing the rate of change of put gamma. And when these lines level off, this is a good indication for a support level, indicating market makers are fully hedged. They don't have to do any more hedging at this point. And this could be an entry point for either a swing trade, a long, or a longer term trade. All right, so that is right around 125, something like that. All right, so we know also the put wall is at 130. That's the support level. Should act as support. All right, let's take a look at the history. So this is somewhat bearish, the hedge wall. This is comparing these key daily levels by day for the last 10 days. So the key gamma strike has fallen. Let's say from 160 down to 140. Hedge wall down today. Now the call wall is backed up to 200, so that's bullish. And then the put wall at 130. So without looking at a long-term chart, just looking at, and you can certainly do that as I would say buying a put spread or buying a call spread or selling a put spread would certainly be a reasonable approach. I'm not sure that would you say buying a put spread. I would consider buying a call spread or selling a put spread, since Snowflake seems to be closer to the lows. All right, selling a put spread. All right, so yeah, I think that would be pretty reasonable based on this information here. Let's just check volatility skew. All right, so what this is showing is volatility is, I would consider buying a call spread in this case. This is comparing volatility for the last, this range, this green range is showing the last 90 days. This lower end of the range is the 10th percentile. And this is the 90th percentile. So there's really no, this volatility throughout this range shown on the chart is in the lowest that has been in the last 90 days. So there's really no advantage to selling premium. So you might consider buying a call spread. And there is some call skew shown here. So if you compare this with SPY, for example, there's much more put skew. This is very typical for an index. Although there is some call skew. This is showing put skew over to the left here. All right, so the only problem with selling a put spread is the volatility is in the very low end of the range. All right, everyone, my time is up. I want to thank you very much for watching. Thanks for your questions and comments. And a viral, thank you very much for your question. I hope that helped. All right, everyone, have a great afternoon. Remember, on Wednesday, ISM Services PMI data comes out at 10 a.m., and then we'll talk about it on Friday afternoon. Everyone, have a great day. I will see you on Wednesday. Thanks. Bye.